They built a secret city in the middle of nowhere, then they filled it with plague, smallpox, and anthrax. And when they were done, they left it to rot. This is Rebirth Island, the Soviet Union's top secret bioweapons lab, and today, no one knows if it's even still deadly. And there was one thing buried under Rebirth Island that almost no one talks about, but when you hear it, you'll understand why this place can never be trusted. Stick around to the end and you'll find out. It was wiped off the maps, covered in sand, and buried under layers of Soviet lies. But just because something's forgotten doesn't mean it's safe. In this video, we're uncovering the full story of Rebirth Island, also known as Anthrax Island, a real place where the Soviets turned death into science. You'll hear about the town they built, the monsters they tested, and why the island had to be abandoned in a panic. It's a story of Cold War nightmares and one mistake away from mass extinction. This is the island that was never supposed to exist. In the 1950s, the Soviet Union needed a place to build their most dangerous weapons, but not nukes, diseases. They found the perfect spot, an isolated island in the Aral Sea surrounded by desert and water, where no one could stumble by accident. They named it Vozrozhdeniya, or rebirth in their language. But what they created was the opposite. They built an entire town, Kontubek. It had schools, stores, a post office, even a movie theater, but it was all for show. The real purpose was a hidden military lab designed to test the deadliest diseases known to man. This place wasn't just classified, it wasn't even on the map. Think Area 51, but Russia. Inside Aerolus 7, Soviet scientists were testing pathogens that could wipe out entire cities. Anthrax, altered to survive in extreme heat and to resist antibiotics, and spread farther than nature ever intended. Smallpox. It eradicated globally by 1980, but not here. On Rebirth Island, it lived on. The plague, the actual Black Death, grown in labs and turned into a fine mist. Brucellosis, tularemia, Q fever, botulism, Venezuelan encephalitis. Oh my gosh, hopefully I said that right. If it killed fast and scared people, it was fair game for the Soviets. They didn't care. They even worked on a form of dry powder anthrax that could survive being launched in a missile. The idea was to create a warhead that would spread disease instead of fire. This wasn't about defense, this was about biological domination. They tested it on animals. Thousands of monkeys, sheep, and goats were shipped to the island, tied to metal stakes in open fields and sprayed with clouds of disease. Then they watched, timed, and took notes. Sometimes they dropped canisters from planes, other times they walked up in hazmat suits and released it by hand. This was methodical, industrialized suffering. Life on the island was surreal. People actually lived there. The people who lived there, the scientists, soldiers, and their families, they tried to pretend it was normal. Kids went to school, adults watched movies, groceries were delivered once a week, but just down the road were fields full of cages, labs packed with Petri dishes, and a storage containers labeled with nothing but skull symbols. One grim detail, the monkeys got fresh fruit flown in from across the USSR, bananas, apples, oranges, while the humans ate canned meat. Because the animals had to be perfectly healthy so the diseases could kill them faster. People joked, the monkeys eat better than we do, and they weren't wrong. In some labs, the walls were scratched by animals trying to escape before release. Floors were stained, glass cracked, and the air reeked of chemicals, bleach, and iron. There were things, however, they could not contain. Accidents started happening. In 1971, a ship drifted near the island. A young scientist on board breathed in a strange brown haze. Days later, she was dead from smallpox. 10 more were infected and 3 of them died. In 1972, 2 fishermen washed up dead. Cause of death? Plague. In 1988, 50,000 saiga antelope dropped dead on a nearby steppe in under an hour. 50,000 dead in an hour! And then came the water. Not long after the plague incident, local fishermen reported pulling up nets full of dead fish. Entire catches that were already rotting. No explanation. The government said it was nothing, but rumors spread. Something had drifted from the island, something that killed fast and without warning. Soviet defectors like Ken Albeck later confirmed what the people feared. Some of the pathogens were modified to survive modern medicine. One strain, anthrax 836, was engineered to be more contagious, more durable, and nearly impossible to treat. According to Alabek, a single suitcase could wipe out an entire city. This island is insane. They made these diseases completely untreatable. They made them invincible to medicine. I mean, it's crazy. All of this, and it was abandoned overnight. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. Suddenly, Rebirth Island is a liability. No one wants to be responsible for it. The people of Kantubek get the order. Leave now. They say they had 24 hours. Others say it was immediate. They burned papers, trashed equipment, but they left most of it behind. Lab gear, pathogen containers, cages, gas masks, and over 100 tons of anthrax buried in shallow pits. They thought the desert would neutralize it. It didn't. Anthrax spores can live in soil for centuries. Rain doesn't kill them, and bleach barely slows them down. They left behind a biological minefield. The Aral Sea, the giant body of water that kept Rebirth Island isolated, started drying up in the 1990s. By 2002, the sea was mostly gone, and Rebirth Island, no longer an island. It was connected to the mainland. No more water barrier, no more isolation. Looters started showing up, hunting for copper and scrap metal. Thrill seekers came too. Some filmed it, others didn't come back. One explorer described gas masks scattered like trash, buildings collapsed in on themselves with cages still inside, a warehouse filled with rusted centrifuges, shattered flasks, animal bones, and a smell like old bleach mixed with rot. And then there's the worst story. One guy opens up a sealed container, inside white powder. He drops it, it spills out, he runs, says his skin was burned for hours. He didn't stop shaking for days. Then the Americans got involved. By the early 2000s, the US was watching. Declassified CIA documents show satellite images of strange patterns on the island. Crop circle-shaped dead zones, grid-like clearings, and behind the scenes, officials weren't convinced anything was ever cleaned. Some believe the Soviets just buried the danger even deeper. The US sent a joint team to Uzbekistan in 2002. They found the pits, dug them up, poured in disinfectants, and relined them and reburied them. 100 workers, 4 months, $6 million. Job done, right? Maybe. So is the island even safe? We hear about places like Chernobyl that they're not going to be safe for centuries, right? Is this place safe? Depends who you ask. Most of Kantubek was bulldozed. The labs are gone, the old airstrip, just scorched pavement and rusting metal. But the soil, the sand, still untested, still unknown. Some scientists say it'll be safe in 50 years. Others say it never will be. Because here's the thing, no one really knows what's still buried. No one tested every inch of the earth, no one mapped every dump site, and if one rusted drum cracks open in the summer heat, that's all it could take. What they never talk about is back in the 80s, the Soviets tested a strain of anthrax so aggressive that it would kill monkeys in seconds. It could go airborne. They didn't just bury the paperwork, they buried the actual samples. Somewhere in the south end of the island are sealed drums of weaponized anthrax, modified to resist antibiotics, survive heat, and infect anything with lungs. Unlike nukes, it doesn't need a trigger, it just needs air. So here's the question. What happens if someone, years from now, finds one of those barrels and cracks it open? What happens if a hiker or a scavenger brushes their hand across a rusted latch? What if a dust storm carries spores to the edge of a small village? No explosion, no warning, just coughing, then fever, then silence. Rebirth Island is gone from the maps, but the threat is still there. It's not science fiction, it's not a Cold War myth, it's real, and it's waiting. If you thought that was wild, and you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and give me a comment below of what you'd like to see next. I'll see you guys next time.